Rebone Tau is a political analyst and author joining me now. Rebone, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. For many years we saw political killings in local government in KwaZulu-Natal. In probably the last 2 years, we've now seen political killings in the Eastern Cape and now in Mpumalanga. What's changed?
I mean, it's clear that this issue, the ANC is not able to deal with it. And also to add that even Limpopo, there's been some political killings there. If you remember around the VBS saga, and I mean, you have what we call the Moerane Commission that took place in KwaZulu-Natal. And that report is actually gathering dust, and the ANC constantly says, we'll deal with this. And I can take you back to around 2015, 2016. The then Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, Jesse Duarte, went to Mpumalanga, because this is not a new thing also in Mpumalanga, assassinations. She went to Mpumalanga, and there was a task team of veterans, that went into Mpumalanga to try and find what are the real challenges that are leading to these assassinations that are taking place in Mpumalanga. And, when I spoke to someone who was part of that task team, they told me that at some point they had to ask to be recused from the whole process because they were fearing for their life. And they were even saying to me some of the places where they were meeting some of these witnesses were like in some shady places on the side of the roads. They could not meet them publicly because those people who were then whistleblowers, were scared to be seen that they are engaging with the ANC leadership. So the question is that what has happened to that report of that task team around 2015, 2016, because Mpumalanga is not a new thing. There's been a lot of assassinations that have taken place in that province. I mean, we can also look at the building up to the provincial conference of Mpumalanga. Remember, there was a lot of delays and there was a lot of violence, taking place also around that time. People lost their lives.
So, I mean, you suggested that this is about the link between politics, business, and I suppose then organised crime. If you've got hitmen, you've got organised crime as well. I mean, how strong are these links? They would seem to be very strong. Absolutely,
they seem to be very strong. I mean, this is all about business interests. If you speak to some, in Mpumalanga, especially in Mkondo municipality, they will tell you that the late Manyat, who was assassinated last year in November, he was going to be the candidate for the ANC because that municipality is not under the ANC. And a few weeks before he was sworn in as the mayor, he was then assassinated. I saw also the video of Sibonelo Mthembu, who was now recently assassinated, speaking that he knows that he's going to die. I can take you back to the likes of Sindiso Makaka, before he was also assassinated, he used to speak how he knows that they are gunning for him. So these are things that ANC members are speaking about publicly, but nothing is happening within the party. The party is more reactive every time to all these crimes that are taking place. And this is worrying. Why I say this? Because ANC politics, their conferences at any level, money is involved. So for you to emerge as a regional leader, obviously you need money. So that means that there are people who are funding you with expectations that once you come into power, you'll then open those doors for them to do business in the municipality. You remember after the regional conference of eThekwini also, there was also a youth leader who was assassinated, and some are saying allegations that also this was linked, that he took money from people and they lost the conference. So there are these allegations that continue to happen that these are also linked to business interests. I've spoken to some also in the leadership of the ANC in Mpumalanga, and they are also certain that indeed there are business interests that are linked to this, and they don't know also how to deal with them.
I mean, in a normal world, you would say no political party wants to have this thing happen to its members. Firstly, because they're its members. Secondly, because they want to attract new people to become members and actually lead the party in future. But thirdly, because we're a democracy and you vote for a party. So any party where people are being killed in this way, they run the risk of losing votes. So if we accept that, it's in the ANC's interests to stop this from happening. You're exactly right, of course, when you say, well, it hasn't stopped this from happening, which can only suggest that one of the reasons may be that some of the leadership, maybe the local leadership, maybe the provincial leadership, who knows, maybe in the national leadership, it's not in their interests. It's not good for them to stop this.
It's not in their interest, and I think because it's not affecting national leaders, where you have ministers or deputy ministers being assassinated. it's happening at local government, for an example. Service delivery, the challenges are at local government, the assassinations are happening at local government, and the national leaders are not seen to be proactive. I'll give an example. Sindiso Makaka, the case continues, and I know that they're going to court again, the family, in April. But what is said about this, you're not seeing leaders from national level or provincial level going to court with the family, to support the family, because people come after someone is shot and they make all the statements, and then after that they disappear. It's business as usual. But that ANC that is caring, you are not seeing it, even during the court processes, being supportive to these families.
Obviously, there's a lot here about the police. And so we've seen a police arrest, and we always end up sort of clapping and applauding the police when they make an arrest, but the conviction almost never happens, or happens very seldom. The police themselves in KwaZulu-Natal, there's a long history of politicized policing in KZN. Is that happening in other places too? The police themselves aren't going to, don't want to, or can't actually get convictions in these cases.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very rare to find a prominent, a local leader or councillor who people get arrested and the case is resolved, every time, and I think also the police sometimes, they fear some of these hitmen and so forth, So there's a lot happening that we don't see these cases going anywhere.
What's going to happen from here, Rebone? I mean, we're going to see this violence escalating. It's going in more parts of the country. And we're going to see this just continuing. It's going to get worse and worse.
I was listening to Mbalula earlier on, and I hope those were not just statements that he was making, I mean, you've got a young leadership that was elected, a new faces that was elected in this previous conference, They have to also prove themselves to the society that indeed they are concerned about what is happening, because, I mean, these are their peers. I mean, Sibonelo, for an example, he was a 31-year-old, he's still within the youth league, age. You've got young people from even the task team of the youth league who have been elected into the NEC. Those should be the ones who pushes the ANC to really actually look at the kind of membership that they have, because the problem also is the kind of membership that the ANC has recruited over the years, whether they were growing the membership in the best interest of the organization or they were growing the membership to weaken the organization.
In the middle of all of this, we've been in the grip of really intense load shedding. And here we are again talking about the problems of the ANC rather than focusing on the national problem of load shedding.
It is very unfortunate, because load shedding is a serious problem for us as a nation. And indeed, you are correct. We are always consumed by internal party politics, of the ANC, instead of even the ANC focusing on how to resolve the challenges, whether poverty, unemployment that we're seeing, in this country, that every time we are all consumed, discussing the ANC. We saw the July riots in 2021, because those July riots happened because the ANC was not able to deal with its own party issues, around former President Jacob Zuma during his tenure as the president of the ANC. So most of the time, problems of the ANC become problems of society.
Is the ANC going to lose votes because of load shedding?
It's going to be a very difficult election for the ANC, more especially in the urban areas. In the rural areas, I mean, in some parts of the country, people still don't have electricity, so that will not be much of an impact. But in the urban areas, we'll definitely see more decline for the ANC.
Rebone Tau, as always, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate you coming in during this time of traffic-inspired load shedding, load shedding-inspired traffic, I should say. Yeah. Rebone Tau, the analyst and author.